Imagine waking up with $4,000 in your pocket and a vision so big that the world laughs at you. Now, imagine dying as one of the richest and most powerful men in modern history. That was John D. Rockefeller. Love him or hate him, you cannot ignore him. He didn't just make money, he engineered an empire. He didn't just follow opportunity, he created it. And hidden inside his life are 5 brutal, practical, uncomfortable lessons that can completely change the way you think about money. These are not cute motivational quotes for Instagram. These are principles forged in oil, railroads, blood, panic, and discipline. And if you truly understand them, they can rewire how you build wealth. So stay with me, because the 5th lesson might be the one that hits you the hardest. Let's begin with a story. It's a simple story, almost too simple. Rockefeller used to get his shoes polished regularly, every morning like clockwork, and he would chat with a shoeshine boy while his shoes were being cleaned. One day, that shoeshine boy started talking about stocks, about hot tips, about dividends, about how easy it was to make money in the market. Rockefeller froze. He listened carefully, and in that moment, he made a decision. He sold his stocks. Shortly after, the market crashed in 1929. Now, whether the timing is perfectly accurate doesn't matter, because the lesson is what matters. When people with no experience start giving investment advice with confidence, you are probably in a bubble. That is lesson number 1. When everyone is excited, be cautious. When everyone is panicking, pay attention. Think about it. In the year 2000, everyone was suddenly a tech expert. Taxi drivers were giving stock tips, teenagers were day trading, and then the dot-com bubble exploded. In 2008, everyone believed real estate could only go up. People with no savings were buying multiple homes with borrowed money. Banks approved loans like candy, and then it collapsed. More recently, cryptocurrencies skyrocketed. Suddenly, your neighbor who never read a finance book was explaining blockchain at dinner. YouTube channels that never talked about investing were making daily crypto predictions. Then prices crashed. Silence followed. That silence tells you everything. Rockefeller understood human psychology. He understood that markets move on emotion. Greed inflates, fear deflates. And the majority is usually wrong at extremes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you feel comfortable buying something because everyone around you is doing it, you are probably late. And if you feel terrified buying something because everyone is scared, that might be the opportunity. Rockefeller never chased noise. He studied behavior. He listened. He observed. He watched how ordinary people talked, and he used that information. So here's the question. What are people around you obsessing over right now? Is it a guaranteed investment? Is it a new trend? Is it something that can't fail? Be careful, because when the shoeshine boy becomes a financial expert, history suggests something is about to break. Lesson number 1 is simple but powerful. Pay attention to the crowd, but do not follow it blindly. Now let's go deeper. Rockefeller once said something that sounds simple but is revolutionary. If you want to succeed, you should strike out on new paths rather than travel the worn paths of accepted success. In other words, don't just follow the blueprint everyone else is following. Create your own. When Rockefeller entered the oil business, the industry was chaotic. Oil was being transported in inefficient ways. Railroads controlled everything. If they raised prices, companies suffered. And one day, the railroad companies realized Rockefeller depended on them. So they formed alliances. They increased prices. They squeezed him. Many entrepreneurs would have accepted it. Many would have complained. Many would have gone bankrupt. Rockefeller did something different. He built pipelines, thousands of miles of pipeline. He bypassed the railroads entirely. He removed the middleman. He lowered his costs. He increased his margins, and he gained control. That decision multiplied his power. That decision changed the industry. Most people try to compete within the existing system. Rockefeller redesigned the system. And that is lesson number 2. Don't just compete. Redefine the rules. Look at modern examples. When people said online retail was impossible, Jeff Bezos built Amazon. When people laughed at the idea of electric cars being mainstream, Elon Musk doubled down. When Jack Ma was rejected from jobs and told his internet business was ridiculous, he kept building Alibaba. Every massive breakthrough came from someone who refused to walk the traditional road. Now, let's bring this to you. Maybe you're working a traditional job. Maybe you're trying to build something. Ask yourself, are you just copying what everyone else is doing? Or are you solving a problem in a different way? Because the big money rarely lives in crowded lanes. It lives in overlooked angles. Rockefeller didn't ask, how can I survive railroad fees? He asked, how can I eliminate them? That question changed everything. And here's something important. Creating new paths is uncomfortable. It's risky. People will criticize you. They will call you unrealistic. They will say you're arrogant. Rockefeller was attacked constantly. He was called ruthless. He was investigated. He was hated. But he kept building because he wasn't chasing approval. He was chasing leverage. And that brings us to lesson number 3. Leverage other people's expertise. Rockefeller did not have degrees in chemistry, geology, and engineering. He wasn't the smartest scientist in the room. He didn't refine oil personally. He didn't build pipelines with his own hands. He hired experts. He surrounded himself with specialists. When he had a technical question, he didn't guess. He consulted someone who knew. This is a massive difference between wealthy people and struggling entrepreneurs. Poor decisions often come from ego. I'll do it myself. I don't want to pay for advice. I can figure it out. And sometimes that works. But often, it costs far more in the long run. I have seen people refuse to hire an accountant to save a small fee. Then they lose thousands in tax penalties. I have seen business owners avoid legal advice, then face lawsuits they could have prevented. Rockefeller understood something early. Time is more valuable than money. And expertise compresses time. If someone else already solved a problem, why spend years reinventing it? The wealthy build networks. They build advisory circles. They build teams. They don't try to be superheroes. They become orchestrators. And here's the shift you need to make. Instead of asking, how can I do this alone? Ask, who can help me do this better and faster? That shift can change your income trajectory dramatically. Rockefeller scaled because he delegated. He owned refineries, wells, offices, departments. Did he personally manage every detail? He built systems. He built teams. He trusted competent people. And this connects directly to lesson number 4. I would rather earn 1% off 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts. Think about that carefully. Most people focus on working harder. Longer hours, more hustle, more personal output. But your income is limited by your energy if you work alone. There are only 24 hours in a day. There is only so much you can physically do. But when you leverage other people's time and skills, your growth becomes exponential. Rockefeller built organizations that functioned without him micromanaging every step. That gave him freedom. That gave him scale. That gave him power. Financial freedom is not about grinding forever. It's about building assets and systems that operate even when you're not present. That could be a business with employees. It could be investments generating returns. It could be digital products selling automatically. The key idea is this: stop trading time for money exclusively. Start building structures where money is generated through systems. And yes, hiring people reduces your immediate profit percentage, but it increases your total profit potential. Would you rather keep 100% of a tiny pie or own 10% of a massive one? That question separates small thinking from empire thinking. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful: emotional control. Rockefeller was famous for his calmness. During crises, he did not panic publicly. During booms, he did not celebrate wildly. He understood that emotion is expensive. His main product was kerosene. It lit homes and streets before electricity became widespread. Then electricity arrived. Imagine the fear. Imagine seeing your core product becoming obsolete. Many would have collapsed. Many would have clung desperately to the past. Rockefeller adapted. He shifted focus toward gasoline, toward fuel for combustion engines, toward the future of transportation. He turned disruption into opportunity, and he did it without emotional drama. There is a quote often attributed to him: "Buy when there's blood in the streets." It sounds harsh, but it reflects a mindset. Opportunity often hides inside chaos. When others are paralyzed by fear, assets are discounted. When headlines scream disaster, long-term investors quietly position themselves. Rockefeller began rising during the American Civil War. While others saw instability, he saw demand. He sold products to troops. He supplied what was needed. He didn't freeze because times were uncertain. He moved strategically. Now ask yourself, how do you react when markets fall? Do you panic sell? Do you complain? Do you blame? Or do you analyze calmly? The ability to remain emotionally stable in financial decisions is rare, and rarity creates advantage. When everyone is euphoric, discipline feels boring. When everyone is terrified, discipline feels painful. But discipline compounds. Emotion destroys. That might be the cornerstone of his empire. Cold, calculated patience. Now we reach lesson number 5, and this one might sting. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. Rockefeller grew up modestly. He learned the value of money early. As a child, he bought candy and resold it. He raised turkeys and sold them. He painted stones and sold them as decorative items. He saved relentlessly. He kept his earnings in a small blue jar. While other children spent money on pleasures, he lent money at interest. At a young age, he understood something profound. Money can work, or you can work for money. And if you make money work for you early, the results multiply over time. Many people sabotage their future by chasing early comfort. They get a raise, they upgrade the car, they upgrade the apartment. They signal success before building it. They look rich, but they are fragile. Rockefeller protected his seed capital. He reinvested. He sacrificed. He delayed gratification. He understood that early discipline leads to later abundance. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. It means timing matters. There is a phase for building, and there is a phase for enjoying. Confusing the two can trap you in mediocrity. Ask yourself honestly, are you investing aggressively in your future, or are you consuming to impress others? The wealthy often look ordinary while building. The struggling often look impressive while borrowing. That contrast is powerful, and it's uncomfortable. So let's recap these 5 lessons in a way that burns them into your mind. First, watch the crowd. When everyone feels like an expert, caution is wise. Second, don't just follow the traditional path. Create new routes. Remove dependencies. Redesign the system. Third, leverage expertise. Build a network of advisors. Stop trying to win alone. Fourth, scale through people and systems. Own pieces of large machines rather than controlling tiny ones alone. Fifth, sacrifice good for great. Protect your capital. Delay gratification. Let money work for you. But here's the deeper layer. These lessons are not about oil. They are about mindset. Rockefeller didn't have access to modern technology. He didn't have the internet. He didn't have venture capital culture. He had discipline. He had strategic thinking. He had emotional control. He had patience. And those qualities are timeless. Right now, you live in an era of distraction. Constant news, constant hype, constant comparison. It is easier than ever to get caught in noise, which makes these lessons even more valuable. Imagine applying them seriously. Imagine building skills quietly while others chase trends. Imagine investing when fear dominates. Imagine creating something unique instead of copying. Imagine building a team that multiplies your output. Imagine saying no to short-term pleasure to fund long-term power. That is how fortunes are built. Not overnight, but consistently. And here's something else. Rockefeller was controversial. He was criticized heavily. Success at that scale attracts enemies. So if you choose to think differently, expect resistance. If you choose discipline over hype, people may call you boring. If you choose long-term strategy over quick wins, people may doubt you. Stay focused anyway. Because wealth rarely comes from pleasing everyone. It comes from making intelligent, sometimes unpopular decisions repeatedly. Let me leave you with a final reflection. Close your eyes for a second and picture two versions of yourself. One follows the crowd, spends impulsively, invests emotionally, avoids expert advice to save small amounts, works alone forever. The other studies behavior, builds systems, surrounds themselves with talent, stays calm in chaos, reinvests consistently. Which version becomes wealthy? The answer is obvious, but the daily choices are not easy. Rockefeller's life proves something powerful. Massive wealth is rarely accidental. It is engineered through psychology, through leverage, through sacrifice, through strategy, and through emotional mastery. You don't need to build an oil empire. You don't need pipelines stretching across states, but you do need clarity. You do need discipline. And you do need the courage to think differently from the crowd. So the next time everyone around you is excited about easy money, pause. The next time fear dominates headlines, analyze. The next time you face a system squeezing your margins, innovate. The next time you hesitate to hire expertise, calculate the true cost of ignorance. And the next time you're tempted to spend money to look successful, ask yourself if you are sacrificing great for good. Because fortunes are built in those quiet decisions, in those invisible moments, in those uncomfortable choices. Rockefeller started with $4,000. He ended with an empire. The difference was not luck. It was mindset applied relentlessly. Now the question is simple. Will you apply these lessons, or will you ignore? Your financial future will answer that question, and it will answer it slowly. But it will answer it with precision. Choose wisely.